Welcome back to another how-to video. Today we're going to cover carpet install. We're going to give you the basics of tack strips, prep, and all that. Before we start it though, this had carpet in here. We pulled it all out. They did have the little square vinyls at one time, but we're going back with carpet. If there's already existing tack strips and you pulled out, just pull your pad out, clean it up. Most of the time you can reuse your existing tack strips. That'll save you a little time and labor. Here we put new ones in. We're going to run it through. I have Justin with me and Dan, so we'll run through the tools and equipment and kind of show you what's going on and taping down everything. So we'll run through now, and thank you.
All right, so now that we have all the stuff removed and the floor is basically prepped for pad and carpet, we had already put down our tack strips. So you'll follow your whole perimeter, nail it down. Concrete, they come with nails on there, but we usually use red heads, 1-inch anchors to secure the tack strip better. Because when you do stretch the carpet, it pulls on those tack strips. So if they're not down properly, they just pop off, and then you won't have a stretched carpet. So now we're going to start laying our pad, and as we go, we'll lay it out, and then we'll staple it down so it's secure. And once again, with concrete, you'll use like an adhesive, a pad adhesive, to secure the pad. Because once you start rolling out your carpet, if it's not secured, the pad will start moving around, and then you'll get bubbles and stuff in the carpet, in the finished carpet. So we'll be on with the pad. Hey, so before we continue, as you can see, I started laying the pad. I haven't finished laying the pad, but I like to start at least securing the pad that I do have down so it doesn't move around before I finish the rest of it. And like we said before, this is a wood floor, so I'll use a hammer tacker with staples in it, and I'll go along the edge of the pad. Usually you don't staple the middle of the pad, just the edges. And if, like I said before, if this was a concrete floor, we would use pad adhesive. And once again, just go along with the adhesive on the outer edge of the pad. And then once I get done hammer tacking down, I'll use the duct tape over here to tape up any seams that are in the pad, just to seal it up a little bit better. So I'm going to start tacking down. And so before I begin, I'll let you know how to use that hammer tacker. Don't do it lightly, because you got to make sure those staples get down into the flooring below the pad. And you want to have it nice kind of level. And then that way, I'll just keep on going. And you'll probably staple about every 6 to 8 inches. You can go more if you want to, but I find that usually works out the best. And so we'll continue on stapling. So now I got the pad all down, and like I said before, I like to tape my seams with the duct tape. So basically all we're going to do, find the seam, press that down, follow the seam. And like I said, it just secures it and seals up that seam so dirt and stuff that falls off through the carpet doesn't go back up below the flooring and stuff for the pad. And now another thing, so there's different types of pads. This is just a cheaper economy 6-pound pad. Then you got 6-pound, 8-pound pad with a moisture barrier on it. So basically the pad would come with already a plastic film on top of it, which is really good for if you have pets and stuff, because then if they urinate or whatever, it doesn't sink into the pad. It just stays on top of that plastic. And bad thing, it's in the carpet, but at least if you have your carpets cleaned, then if it leaks through the pad, it's still going to stink. So that's a big bonus on that. It's a few cents more per square foot for that kind of pad. but I would suggest using that if you can.
Okay, we just moved into a different room. We rolled the carpet out. As you can see, the edges are all long. We leave it long and then we'll tuck it in. Right now we're gonna do a seam. We have a seam that we have to do in the closet, but for video purposes, we're gonna show you right out here in the middle of the room so that way you guys can see. Same purpose, same design and all that. We'll use our tools and all that. Dan will go ahead and explain to you with what tools we use and how we use them.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a seam, get it prepared. It's going to be the same exact thing in this closet here. It's just easier to see while we're out in the middle of the room. So these two edges of the carpet are still rough, so you want to cut those with a straight edge first. I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's not straight. So I'm going to use that for a seam, but I'm going to have to cut it first. So I'm going to fold this over. They have different lengths of these straight edges. These small ones work great for smaller areas. So you want to get it away from the edge just a little bit, just so it doesn't tear and rip on you. You always want to use a sharp blade. Change it out if you're not sure, because you want to have a nice straight cut. One of the most important things is hand placement, and just watch where everything's at. You don't want to accidentally come across, hit your leg, something like that. They call these Bloody Marys. They cut really fast, really easy, and you're gonna be getting stitches. So anyway, what I do is put one knee down here, one hand up here. There's a little ledge right here. You can set your knife blade right on that, so that way you don't go through the bottom carpet. So and then I just put a little bit of pressure going this way. These blades are flexible, so then that way you can get a little bit of a bevel. It just helps hide that seam. And again, I'm never putting my hand or anything behind the blade because it has a tendency to jump out at you. Now if you have a long piece, then you can cut, however much you want off of it, and just slide this straight edge down. Just want to line it back up. Good. So now that I've just cut this piece, nice and straight edge, has that slight bevel to it. Next thing I want to talk about that you always want to pay attention to is before you line these pieces up, there's a nap to this carpet. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but one way the carpet will stand up, and then if you go the other direction, it'll lay down. So always check, make sure that these are going the same direction. See how they're both laying down, and now they're both standing up. Otherwise, if you reverse that, then you start walking on it, then one's gonna go down, and then one's gonna go up, and then it's just gonna look terrible. So now that we got the right direction, then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just cut this edge. And again, you want to use a sharp knife, sharp blade. Okay, now that those are cut, I'll flip them over, position everything where I need to put it. I don't like using hot glue over the top of fresh carpet. That's why I have this one turned over. Normally you don't have that issue. So the next thing, I'm going to lay out this carpet glue here. So imagine if you had a wall here and a wall here, you want to go the full length of the carpet. Your carpet's going to go up the wall just a little ways, so you don't have to worry about that, but you want to make sure that you get the maximum area you can. So if this carpet is already laid down, all I would do is just fold down the corner like this. Now this carpet glue has the two red lines in the middle. Some are different colors, doesn't really matter. But this is gonna be your seam. So that tells you the center of the glue, where it needs to be. Kind of get it like that, then you work this other side. And then you want to check, make sure everything is lined up in the center. It looks pretty good there. And now another tool that can help you with seaming is just a kicker. This one, you spin the knob, brings the teeth in or out. So this one, you can use it to position the carpet if you need to a little bit. These pieces are so small, it's kind of hard to show you, but the next thing is I'm gonna get this iron where I need it. This has a little adjustment right here for your different heat temperatures. This one's turned down to about 3.5 or so. All it is, you just plug it in, it warms up, there's a little light. As soon as the light turns off, then it's hot. This just lifts up like that. And you always want to make sure that you don't let any of this glue drip on the top of the brand new carpet. So I always get everything laid out, what I need before I put the iron on the glue, because if you leave it on the glue too long, it'll burn it, or it can burn the underside of the carpet, and then you'll see it because it'll kind of fold in on itself. So I'm gonna get the rest of the tools I need. They call this a tractor, just a little spiked roller. That's just for helping blend in the seam together. Another thing you'll need is, I found one thing that works well, and you usually have one available, is just a toilet lid. It's nice and smooth on one side. The other side, you can put your knee right here. Like I said, it's usually available. If you don't have one of those available, I've seen little toolbox trays, seen pieces of granite, something like that. Basically all you need is just something for a weight and something you can put your knee on. So once that glue starts to heat up, then you run your tractor, and then you just push your weight along the seam, and then just keep working. So now that I have everything ready, I'm going to start heating up this glue. And I always like to, even though this iron has a tray on it, I always like to put a spare piece of carpet down underneath, because you never know if it's going to drip out, or if you forget and you set it on the carpet. It's better to burn a scrap piece than have a hole right in the middle of your brand new carpet. So I'm going to start over here. And now if this is one big piece, then it'd be a little bit easier to get under. These ones are so small it might move on me, but we'll try it anyway. So all I'm going to do is just fold it back. One side, fold the other side back. Get your iron. It's really hot, so you don't want to touch it. It's not fun. And then you just set your iron right in the center. And again, you can see those two red marks. Tells you where center's at. Fold the carpet back over. And then you want to give it a minute, let that glue warm up and melt. And then as you do that, then you'll be able to slide this iron really easy. And you want to go about one full length of the iron. So once this warms up a little bit, then I'll start piecing this backside together. Show you how to do that. And usually what I like to do is move my scrap piece of carpet and the tray to the other end of the seam. So that way you're not running back and forth, you know, with hot glue dripping and all that, because you can't stop once you start. So right now this is getting pretty warm. So I'm just gonna slide it, and I'm not putting much pressure on it, basically just sliding it. You go about a full length of your iron, then you stop. And then you try to get these two edges just to meet right in the middle. You don't want them to overlap. Once you get them there, I put my thumb here. That's when you use your tractor. And I'm just going straight back and forth with the seam. So now that that's on there, I put my weight there. And then at that point, this glue is warm. So then I slide it another full length. I'll do the same thing. Position my two pieces where there's no gap and no overlaps. And I put my thumb there so it doesn't peel up. Run the tractor over it. Put my weight on there, and then I put my knee on the weight. Then again, I just go another full length. Now, since I'm right at the end, then I'll just stop right there. Now this carpet moved a little on me because these pieces are so small. So that's when, if you need to, you gotta bump it over a little bit with your kicker. You want to do it pretty quick so that glue doesn't set up on you. Okay, now that I'm done, I want to make sure that I'm not going to drip any glue on the brand new carpet. So if there was a wall here, I would peel this one side over and then just kind of slide and turn it all at the same time. Put it on my tray, make sure this is out of the way. Now this moved a little on me because, like I said, these pieces are pretty small. Normally it doesn't move, but you always want to make sure that it doesn't. Pretty good there. Got my tractor, and with this tractor I push down pretty hard. Not super hard, but hard enough. Then I slide my weight over that, and then that seam is done. And then you let it cool down. You don't want to do any kicking or stretching on it until this is totally cooled off. You don't want the seams pulling apart. So that's pretty much it for seaming. It just takes a lot of practice. It's not real hard. You just gotta take your time, do it slow.
No. He did a great job with it. Like he does. He rubs his hand on it. You can see how you can't even see the seam. Normally you can't do this, but and this is exactly what he's talking about. As he has that little goober on there, why you always want to make sure that you have something there so it doesn't. But this is what the seam and the tape looks like with the glue on the back side. You never see it. One thing he made a good point on is you have to make sure that this cools down, because if it doesn't cool down, it'll just pull apart when you're doing it. Normally, in a normal room, about an hour, half hour? Somewhere right in. It depends on how hot it got and the temperature.
Usually doesn't take very long.
Yeah, your ambient temperature, but you want to at least wait till it isn't hot anymore, and you can feel it. You can feel your seam with your hand. So.
Okay, so now we got our carpet laid out and we got a rough cut in. So now we will set the carpet and start stretching it. The tools that we'll use, we got our knee kicker. That was used for many, many years. Then they came out with the power stretcher. The power stretcher will come in a case, and it'll have poles like this. So with this is a stinger. So we use this on wood floors. You can't use that on concrete floors because it's just going to keep on sliding onto the concrete. So if you have the poles, then you go from wall to wall stretching. But yeah, since we got wood floors, we're gonna use the stinger so we don't have to hassle with all those poles, and we'll be good to go. So before we begin, you wanna make sure you set a wall, which I'm gonna do on the window side, because you got your door over here and the closet over here, so I wanna stretch it that way. But you'll have to do multiple ways of stretching, and we'll go through that as we go. But I'm gonna set this wall like I said. So basically I'm gonna use the carpet tool, and with the base, this is new base, so if you have your base off, then you don't have to worry about tucking it in, because you're just gonna go up against the wall and cut. But our base is already set, and we have the base set up about a 1/2 inch off the ground, so then the carpet will tuck underneath that, and that'll keep it in place. So now I'm gonna start doing the set here. And then we'll take it and we'll cut. And then so it should look like this. So it's all set, tucked underneath the base. Okay, so now I got my one wall set. We're gonna start doing the power stretch. We will post a diagram of how to power stretch, because you have to go at so many different angles and ways when you stretch carpet, or over time it's gonna wrinkle real quick. So we'll start stretching right now with the power stretcher. So now I've got the stretcher set up. I gotta make sure the stinger is down so it won't slide. And we don't wanna like pull the carpet a lot, because it'll pull it away from the wall. So you just wanna give it enough to where you're pulling some. And then you go like that. And then I'll work on cutting that in, stretching that. So basically you will go bit by bit. So like this side I'll have to do at least 3 stretches, and then I'll go a different angle, and yeah, well, like I said, we'll have that diagram on the web or the YouTube video showing how you should do that. And we're done. We got the room stretched. All we got left is a floor transition, which for here we'll put a flat bar. They make multiple different transitions, so you just have to use what is required for that job. But other than that, we're all done.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. For this or any other real estate training, go to fundingtours.com/YouTube.